Hey, we're the Board Buds. This is Cody and Brian. Today we want to talk about SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence by Tomas Halik. This is a 1 to 4 player game where you'll be exploring the galaxy for alien life, managing your resources, and competing for area control, all to get the highest score. So first we'll talk about the gameplay a little bit. So what do you want to talk about first?
I think probably it makes sense to start with talking about the interlocking orbit rings, the three, I don't know what they're called, the three sections of the solar system that are around the sun that can independently rotate from each other, and that you move your probes. Are they probes?
Yep.
Move probes around to try to get to places to land on things or orbit and such. I like the spinning mechanism there.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that stands out the most is the rotating board. And like each part rotates separately, but then like the lower ones will take the upper ones with them. So it definitely is interesting to kind of try and plan out if you think it's going to rotate and like if that'll help you move closer to something or not.
Yeah, the triggers for when it rotates and which section gets rotated are always known, I think. So I don't think it's ever like a surprise that it's going to happen or what part is going to happen. But it is hard to track what that all means, and like if everyone between the turn you're on and the next time you get there, what people are going to do to make it spin and maybe ruin your whole plans for pathing to where you're trying to get to.
Yeah, so a big part of the game is sending out probes and trying to get them onto planets through moving. So you're trying to minimize how much you need to move to get to the various planets with your probes. And another part of the game is researching techs to upgrade your probe movement or other aspects. And when people research techs, that will trigger a rotation of the galaxy. And like Cody said, you'll know which part is rotating, but you do have to kind of look at what other people are doing and see if they have enough currency to buy a tech, and if you think they're going to buy a tech, if you want to move before that happens or wait because you're like, hey, I want to wait until somebody does this and I see somebody's going to buy a tech, so maybe I'll just kind of stall a little bit and see if somebody rotates it, and hopefully that helps me out.
Yeah, I thought it was a really fun and kind of a novel mechanic to fuel what is the main part of the game, which is just trying to land on different planets or orbit them or whatever.
Yep. And then so another action that you can take in the game is called scanning. And that lets you scan sectors of the map that are basically cut out into wedges going out from the center.
Pie graph style things.
And when you scan before you upgrade, everybody gets to basically scan from where Earth is, and then do a scan based on some cards that are on the board that you can discard. So when Earth rotates, that also affects where the scan range is. So the rotation matters there as well, where you might want to scan before a certain area before somebody rotates, or maybe you're waiting and trying to, I want people to scan so I can rotate the board so I can specifically scan in this one section multiple times.
Yeah, I think the rotation did a really good job of tying into everything at like a base level. Like it mattered all the time pretty much. Talking about the scanning, that's one of the main actions you can do that I don't think feels very strong to me. It does have its tech upgrade stuff, I think, is probably the most interesting though, because when you activate it, all the techs that you have for it kind of combo and compile on each other. So if you get focus on getting text for that action gets better and better, but the base form of that action seems kind of weak to me, and the reward you get for like filling up the scan of a sector seemed kind of not trivial, but not relevant overly.
Yeah, scanning is kind of where the major area control of the game comes in because when you scan, you put some disks out and you'll get some data back for doing it. But then once that sector fills up, whoever has the most ends up getting the reward, which is usually getting some evidence of alien life, which is a major part of the game, which you do want to get.
The traces do seem important to have, so yeah.
But it can feel kind of bad if if you're not doing a lot of scanning, and somebody has a ton of upgrades, they'll be able to more easily take each area. So a lot of times, if you're not really doing that, you just kind of ignore it, and then because you don't really want to help somebody out by filling it up. Because if you know you're gonna not win the sector, maybe you just don't care to do it unless you really need data disks. And there is a small reward for being in second place, but it didn't really feel like great. It really just helped you on the next one. And I think everybody got a publicity for being part of it. But it was pretty small, and it felt bad to have to use scans when I needed to, when I wasn't really trying to go in that direction.
We have had other players focus on it, and they seem to get a lot. They definitely got a ton of data out of it, which seemed nice. And I was jealous of that because I've never went hard on it. But they also didn't end up getting a ton of points, so I don't know.
It's hard to say, and it might have to do with how much other people are also kind of scanning and how much you can win those sections. With that, we mentioned like the evidence of alien life, and that's kind of one of the biggest things that you're doing in this game is most of your actions are trying to get that evidence, which will end up being points. And with the probes, you're trying to land on planets by moving them to specific planets on the board and then landing them or orbiting. And that is one way to get evidence. The other way is by winning scans. And then the third way is when you get the data disks, you can fill up a section on your board to get some resources and then also some evidence of alien life. So I thought it was interesting that there's 3 different ways to do that, and they all unlock different rewards. So if somebody is going on scanning and getting the rewards for that, it doesn't necessarily block you for focusing more on landing on planets.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting way to split that up. It also having traces for each of the different types of them is how the alien species come into play in the game, which I think is one of the most interesting aspects of it.
Yeah. Once you fill up each type of evidence on one of the 2 alien boards, you get to flip those over, and it'll somewhat changed the rules of the game, not a ton, but it introduced some new cards that seemed very strong. And I think in our case, we had a new piece of the board that came out that we could scan and go to, and we had some new tokens come out that was an additional resource that we could gather to spend to get more points. So it changes things, and the cards seem pretty strong, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, of the couple that we've seen, one of them at least I felt like was changed the game a lot more than I expected it to on our first play. The one that added an abandoned spaceship or something to the board that you could then go scan and orbit and all that. And then also the deck of cards and its own special resource and everything, like you just said. I thought that was way more impact on the game than I expected them to be going into it.
Yeah, and I think there's 5 total, and you pick 2 at random to start with. So nobody knows what they're going to be until you get to that point in the game. So it definitely, each of them look different in how they affect the game. So I thought that definitely was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's also some little excitement point of, what's this going to be? What's going to happen? What's going on here? And what could otherwise end up being a more dry predictable kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think the first time we played, I didn't really tell anybody outside, hey, these are going to flip and something will happen. And then when it happened, I was like, all right, time to get out the rule book
Yeah.
and explain what it says. But luckily, I think the actual explanations for like, okay, this is what it add isn't too long. So it's not, you don't have to do a whole nother rule teach. It's just a quick, okay, we have these, there's some new cards, a new resource that you can spend.
Yeah, it was nothing complicated, but it was fun little twists. What do you think about the general flying around, trying to land on scanning, or not scanning?
Orbiting.
Orbiting versus landing, and then also moon landings and stuff. I thought that was a neat concept in general, too, with optimizing your energy to actually get to the planets worth more points, because you start on Earth, so the planets that are just naturally closer to Earth are worth less, and then as you get farther out to like Venus or not Venus, geez, Saturn and stuff, they get higher points, and so it's harder to get to them. But then it's better, more points and additional resources to land and orbit on them. And
I thought it was interesting. You can get better rewards if you're the first person to go to a thing. So there is a little bit of interaction there where you have to make sure if somebody else is targeting that, you get there first if you want the better rewards. And you can unlock text to kind of get better movement and the ability to land on moons, which give better rewards, but only have one spot on them. So you definitely. It's not solitaire in that regard, because you have to like really be like, okay, what are these guys going to do? Is that going to ruin my plans? Because I want to specifically go to this moon. And I know we had a number of times where players were like, oh, you took that spot. I was literally going to do that on my next turn. So a lot of interaction there. Yeah,
definitely did not feel like a multiplayer solitaire game to me at all. Even though going into it, I thought maybe it would. The moons, some of the moons were worth like over 20 points, which I don't remember what our scores were. Something around
pretty high,
100-ish.
Yeah.
So 20 points, quite a bit, and they seemed really powerful.
Yeah, a lot of the early rewards are more resource oriented, and then once the aliens unlock and you start being able to land on moons, a lot of those spaces would be like pretty big points, like 20 points plus. So they were really lucrative in trying to like finalize at the end of the game, try and get those like really big ones.
Another cool and different thing I thought about this is the way the end game shared goals stuff worked. Most games, it's here's 4 goals for the game. Whoever gets them first gets more points or whatever, and that's fine. But in this, there's 4 goals out, and then there's 3 spaces on the point track that when you get to them, you can choose one of those goals, and that will be your multiplier for it at the end of the game. So whoever chooses it first might get like 4 times whatever for this certain goal, and then second place would be like 3, third everyone else 2, something like that. I thought that was a really interesting way to do that. And
yeah, it was pretty cool because it incentivizes you to not just take maximum resources first and instead go for things that might be more points, so you can get one of those first. Because I feel like a lot of games getting points early usually feels bad because it's not really like extending your game plan. But in this, it was like being able to get up there early on and take the highest spot on like 2 different rewards felt really good.
Yeah.
Because those can be pretty meaningful points at the end of the game.
But also, since there's 4 of them and you can't claim them all, so like just because you're out in front doesn't mean you're going to keep that lead, and you're not necessarily going to succeed at doing those things as well as like whoever's in last and could catch up with doing a different thing that other people haven't claimed.
Yeah, definitely.
Thought that was a fun, unique, different. Haven't really seen anything quite like that.
Definitely.
What'd you think of the card play, various cards and their powers and abilities and whatnot?
I thought there was a pretty decent variety of different cards. And cards in this game are kind of basically treated like resources, almost equivalent to money or energy. They have different ways that you can actually spend the cards between like playing them as an action to get their main effect, and usually that would be like either getting resources or giving you like a mission to complete for points. Or they all had like in the top left a like free action that you could do where you would discard the card and you would immediately get the resource in the top left. And then finally, you could also, whenever you gain income, you can unlock ways to add to your income, which is taking a card from your hand and slotting it into your income spot. And then that gives you more income at the start of the round. So to me, having those different options seemed like really interesting because it was like a huge balance between do I want to actually play this card or do I need, an extra move for my probe this turn, or like some of them I was really trying to get income, so I was like, oh, I really need like an energy income, but this is my only energy income card and like I kind of want to play it, so what do I do there? So I thought that was actually really, really cool idea.
Yeah, I like that multi-use, and pretty much all of the cards seem really strong. So like you want to play every card that you have, but they're also really expensive, especially the stronger ones.
Yeah.
And like I never had a ton of extra resources to be just, I can play every card that I have. So like, I really agree that
resources
was really
in
good.
general felt really tight. Like, like I would maybe get 6 money at the start of the round, and like some of the cards cost like 4 money, and they'd be really good, but like there's all your money on one card, and you also need some of that to energy to like move your probes around, so it can feel really tight. I will say that some of the cards, while they were strong, would like some of them would be like, like do some scans or something, and I'd be like, well, I don't really care about scanning, so then make it easy to kind of discard. But
yeah, the like mini missions for points ones were the easier ones to kind of, I don't need this, that's not a thing I'm gonna do.
So any other thoughts on gameplay, or you want to get to the components?
Do you want to talk about the text at all? I mean, really, we talked
a little bit about
scan
that.
text.
Like we said earlier, when you take text, it rotates the board. But the text in general, just kind of upgraded like the core 3 things of scanning, moving your probes, and using data on your board to get alien life. And I liked like the scanning, I think was interesting, gave you more things. The probe stuff I thought was really good. Personally, I didn't really find a lot of use out of the data upgrades. They just kind of gave you points, I think.
They were more point oriented. So yeah, I agree that like it wasn't nothing crazy in the text, but the one that let you move through asteroids for cheaper, that seemed like a really, really strong one and probably more essential than most of the other ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but maybe that's just the way I play, and
I think I had undervalued that at first, and went for being able to put more than one probe out, which I ended up not feeling like that was as useful as I thought.
I got that one early too, and didn't feel that it was relevant to me.
And I will say another thing, the techs, is that they're all available, but the first person to take any type of tech gets 2 additional points, as well as each tech tile has a different bonus on it, and those are randomized. So sometimes you might be incentivized to take a different tech just because you need the bonus or you want the 2 points over it necessarily being the best one for you in that situation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Makes it a little bit different choice there, like what you want to take.
Yeah, especially since maybe you don't really care about any of the techs. You got what you need, and you're just mostly doing it for points. I think that's good for. I don't have anything else.
All right, well then let's talk about components.
All right, now we're going to talk about the art and components. What do you want to talk about first?
Yeah, I think first we could kind of talk about the board. I think it was the main thing we were talking about before. The board comes in a couple different pieces and gets to rotate. So you have kind of these nice thick boards. It's got a lot of table presence, but it felt solid and everything kind of slot together nice. Definitely one of the cooler parts of the game.
I think that's definitely the standout component is that board. I don't know how assembly was because you just have it set up when we get here for it, but it didn't seem to, it wasn't like, it wasn't falling apart. It wasn't causing any issues. It seemed stable and sturdy and everything worked the way it was
pretty
supposed
easy.
to.
Everything made sense of where to place it. My only complaint was like the outer ring that you build kind of sits on top, and that was a bit easy to like shift around. But there was at least enough room that it didn't like, when it moved a little bit, it didn't mess everything up. But you know, if you want it to be exactly perfect, it sometimes would slip around.
I did
but
notice
really
that outer rim didn't really lay flat necessarily, but it didn't seem to be really an issue. But less than perfect.
Yeah, and I thought it was also cool that the way it slots, you can randomize it a little bit too, and have different sections there for the outer ring. So you can actually, you don't have to put it in the same orientation every time.
That's cool. The player boards were nice. They're dual layer, or at least I think you had to fold them yourself.
Yep.
Maybe.
Yeah, it just folds over and we'll tape there to keep them together.
But they seem really nice.
Yeah.
Held everything.
And the text fit like right into each slot, so I thought that was cool.
Always satisfying slotting stuff in like that.
The cards themselves felt pretty standard. Nothing super special about them. I've seen nicer cards, but I had no real complaints, especially since there's a lot of them. It kind of made sense.
Yeah, they weren't flimsy or anything, but I wasn't like, oh man, these are some great cards.
Yeah. Art on them was okay. Nothing really stood out to me. You know, we kind of were like, do you really remember the art? And it's like, not really.
Yeah. In general, the look of the game is fine, but the card art is very, very forgettable. The board looks nice. It's just like a nice spacey looking board.
Yeah.
The sun in the middle, I like. It's a little goofy, but it's a fun goofy.
Yeah, it was nice that they gave you a little sun model to put out there and everything. And I think you know, everything on the board mostly stood out as like being clear as what I was looking at.
It was definitely an easy to read board.
And I think all of the boards themselves had the terminology on like how much everything costs on them, so you wouldn't have to really reference the rules. But they did actually give a small like quick reference booklet for every player, and actually I think it was one of the better quick reference booklets I've seen.
Yeah, it was like a small foldable booklet, and it had all the stuff you need in a nice, concise way.
Yeah, I thought that was they did a really good job with that.
I don't think we really had to go to the rule book for much outside of when the aliens came out.
Yeah, and even those come on their own separate sheets, so you don't have to fumble through the rule book to find the exact page. You just grab the sheet for that one and you're pretty much good to go.
So yeah, not like the prettiest, most standout art game, but definitely a very usable design on the board and everything. Nice, concise symbology.
Yeah, and I think the only thing I would say complaint-wise is it doesn't come with an insert or anything. I found that the way it went into the box was not like amazing. I kind of just had thrown everything. So I 3D printed my own that I found online, which is a lot nicer. So I do wish they kind of had an insert with it, but there are ones available if you're into that 3D printing or know somebody that can do one.
The 3D printed one is really nice. That's the only, I didn't see what it came in, so.
Yeah.
But I really, the one you printed definitely is super nice.
Other than that, yeah, I think they did a pretty good job. So I think, you know, for what you get for the price, I think it was actually a lot and pretty good components. So I was pretty pleased.
Yep. No complaints from me.
All right. Well, let's get into scores then.
Sounds good.
So, what was your final score?
I like this game a lot. Probably gonna go with a 8.5. We'll go 8.5. Liked it a lot. It felt a lot different than other games. Nothing I can think of really feels all that similar to it. Can definitely see it having a space where this is what I'm in the mood for right now. Yeah, it was really good. Lots of fun choices throughout, some interesting moments and fun decisions. I think a lot of viable strategies and
Yeah.
new stuff to try out. We talked about the slotting cards for income. I've not really done that at all so far, or at least very minimally. So it'd be fun to try to go on that and have actual income and resources to deal with instead of scraping by the whole time. And yeah, it'd be nice to see more combinations of aliens and different stuff and see what happens. I'm excited to play this one some more.
Yeah, I think personally I'd give it an 8. I think it's a really interesting game, and yeah, like Cody said, it's different from a lot of things that I've played. I like that there's a good amount of interaction between competing for different things or spots on boards, and I like that every time you play, you're going to see different aliens, different cards, and go different kind of strategies. So yeah, I think it was a really cool idea, really well done, and I think I'd be excited to see if they even do expansions with more aliens or change more different cards. So
I think is going to be I think there's at least an expansion announced. I don't know if it's actually exists
we'll have to
yet.
check it out then. So yeah, I really liked it, and say final was 8. Any other closing thoughts on the game?
Not really. Seems like we both liked it a good bit. Definitely check it out if it sounds interesting to you.
Yep, so that was SETI. Hopefully you'll check it out. And if you could like, comment, and subscribe, that would help us out greatly. Until then, we'll catch you next time.
Bye.